This podcast contains sharp edges, economic heresy, and unlicensed commentary on federal power grabs. Side effects may include coffee-stained dashboards, spontaneous fist pumps, and an uncontrollable urge to question everything. If you're allergic to facts, this is not the safe space you're looking for.
Trump just dropped a 100% tariff on computer chips like it's a mic at a rally. And while Silicon Valley screams about price hikes, Middle America's wondering why we ever outsourced microchips to China in the first place. Meanwhile, back in D.C., he's flirting with deploying the National Guard after a viral attack put street crime back on blast. Oh, and did we mention he's planning a peace summit with Putin while half of Europe still wants him arrested? Yeah, it's one of those days. This is Data and Dissonance, the only podcast that pairs economic firepower with geopolitical whiplash. Let's roll. I'm your host, Artie J. Roy III, former military, current voice of reason in a world allergic to it, and the guy who still uses cash just to make the WEF nervous. Now joining me, as always, is the man who thinks tariffs should apply to blue states. Brian, our MAGA sledgehammer in a world full of foam bats. If there's a flag, he'll salute it. If there's a socialist, he'll verbally suplex it. And if there's bacon, it's already gone. Next up, Rachel, our resident independent, red-pilled, sharp-tongued policy sniper. She's the only one on this panel who reads the fine print, files her taxes early, and could run a FEMA zone better than most governors, with one hand tied and a sarcastic tweet. And finally, Daniel, our walking conspiracy board with a VPN hardwired into his bloodstream. He's got documents, dots, and red string in his garage, and somehow, he's still been right more than CNN this year. If you think the government's hiding something, he'll tell you what, where, and who funded it. Together, we're the resistance cocktail they warned you about. 2 shots of truth, a twist of chaos, and no chaser. Let's get into it. Brought to you by the Caleb Rourke Thriller series. Tired of novels where the hero gets lectured by the villain before a happy ending? Not here. In the Covenant Protocol and the Prophet Directive, Caleb Rourke doesn't wait for permission. He acts. Political thrillers for the disillusioned, the dangerous, and the done playing nice crowd. Available now on Amazon. Book 3, Black Echo Rising drops soon. All right, before we dive in, quick reminder that Data and Dissonance Coffee is fueling this revolution, one brew at a time. High Lakes Light Roast, smooth, citrusy, and bright. Kinda like what NPR thinks it is. Rock Creek Medium Roast, bold, balanced with notes of dark chocolate and don't mess with me. Bitterroot Dark Roast. For the black coffee, black humor, black budget crowd. You know who you are. Roasted in the USA, shipped to patriots nationwide. Get yours today. Support the show and stay sharp. Let's start with the one that's got Silicon Valley reaching for their emotional support espresso. Trump just announced a 100% tariff on imported semiconductors, targeting companies that rely on foreign chip production while sparing those who commit to building right here in the United States. Now the media is calling this a consumer catastrophe, claiming prices will skyrocket on everything from iPhones to electric cars. But here's what they won't say. America used to make its own damn tech. We handed it all to foreign powers in the name of convenience and cheap labor, and now we're acting shocked that we're vulnerable. This tariff isn't about short-term savings. It's about long-term sovereignty. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather pay a few extra bucks for a phone than be held hostage by the Chinese Communist Party the next time tensions flare in Taiwan. Brian, crack this one open.
Let me be blunt. If you think these tariffs are a bad idea, you've probably never held a wrench, run a business, or had to compete with a company paying workers in rice and fear. What Trump just did isn't about punishing the market. It's about punishing the cowards who sold us out. For decades, we were told that globalization would make everything cheaper and better. And maybe it did. For the CEOs who offshored your job and gave themselves a bonus. But for working Americans, it gutted the industrial heart of this country and made us a bunch of screen-scrolling consumers instead of producers. This tariff is a signal. If you want to do business with us, build with us. If not, don't let the cargo ship hit you on the way out. Will it sting? Maybe. But you know what stings more? Losing the ability to make the technology that runs your cars, your phones, and your defense systems. This is economic warfare, and Trump's the only one firing back.
Rachel, you've always been big on free markets, but also national security. How does this strike you?
I'll admit, I was skeptical when I first saw the headlines. Tariffs often sound good in a speech, but hit hard at the checkout line. But when I dug deeper, I saw something different. This isn't just a blanket tax. It's a lever, a calculated pressure point aimed at reshaping where our most critical infrastructure gets built. We've been too comfortable with the idea that essential components, like semiconductors, can be outsourced without consequence. But then COVID hit, and Taiwan faced threats. And suddenly, we remembered how fragile this all is. The tariff isn't perfect, but it's not reckless either. It's a challenge to corporations who've built their empires on cheap foreign labor and expect American consumers to foot the bill. It says, either invest here or pay up. We can't keep pretending that economic freedom means zero responsibility. If we want tech independence, we have to build it. This is the price of waking up.
Daniel, what's your tinfoil take? Or should I say, rare earth metals take?
This isn't just economics, it's a battlefield. You want to know what controls the future. It's not oil. It's not gold. It's the chips. Semiconductors are the veins of the modern world, running everything from missile guidance systems to your grandma's hearing aids. And for years, we let those veins run through the hands of our enemies. This tariff is Trump's way of rerouting the bloodstream, cutting out the CCP, decoupling from a global system built on dependency, and saying, no more. But here's the part the media won't touch. This move also disrupts the data war. Every chip made overseas is a potential backdoor. Every imported component is a surveillance risk. By forcing companies to build here, Trump isn't just reshaping industry, he's securing the future. This is cyber defense, wrapped in an economic package. And if you're upset about paying $30 more for an iPhone, maybe ask yourself why it was ever that cheap to begin with.
Now let's talk about a 1-2 punch that's got Twitter therapists and EU diplomats clutching their pearls. This week, Trump hinted at deploying the National Guard in Washington, D.C., following a brutal and very public attack that spread like wildfire online. At the same time, he floated a potential peace summit with Vladimir Putin. Yes, that Putin. The same guy who has Western leaders writing arrest warrants while dodging accountability like it's an Olympic sport. On one hand, you've got Trump asserting law and order dominance at home. On the other, he's pitching himself as the global stabilizer, unafraid to shake hands with the devil if it means cutting through the noise. It's bold, it's brash, and it's exactly the kind of power play that sends the left into full meltdown mode. But is this strength or sleight of hand? Brian, tee it up.
It's exactly what leadership looks like. When the streets of your capital start looking like an episode of Cops, someone has to step in. The DC mayor sure isn't. She's too busy posting about climate justice and gender-neutral bathrooms, while citizens are getting robbed in broad daylight. Trump's saying enough is enough. Deploy the guard, restore order, and send a message that our capital is not up for grabs. And with Putin? Look, I don't like the guy, but I don't have to. This isn't about friendship, it's about leverage. Biden spent years trying to isolate Russia with weak sanctions and even weaker speeches. Trump, he gets in the room. He makes the deal. And more importantly, he reminds the world that America negotiates from a position of strength, not desperation. You don't have to love the optics. You just have to love results.
Rachel, what about the optics? Peace through strength, or PR through shock?
This is one of those moments where intent and execution matter equally. I get why Trump wants to use the National Guard. Violent crime in DC is out of control, and local leaders are asleep at the wheel. But there's a thin line between restoring order and setting a precedent for federal overreach. If this becomes the new norm, any president flexing muscle in a city that disagrees with them, we've got a problem. As for the Putin summit, I'm torn. Dialogue matters. De-escalation matters. But you better come to the table with a spine, not just swagger. If this meeting is about brokering stability while protecting American interests, great. If it's about photo ops and PR, I'm out. We've seen too many peace talks turn into public theater. Trump has the guts. Let's hope he brings the guardrails.
Daniel put the chessboard together for us.
You're looking at a two-front narrative war. Trump's not just acting, he's setting the table for a third term for the Republicans, where he reclaims the executive branch as the apex of American influence. Deploying the National Guard in D.C. That's not just about crime, it's about establishing federal dominance in a space that's long been symbolic of resistance. It's the same reason kings marched armies through their capitals. Optics matter. And the Putin summit? That's a flare gun fired across NATO's bow. Trump is signaling that he doesn't answer to the international echo chamber. He's playing chess, while the rest of them are still arguing about pronouns. But let's be honest, it's risky. When one man holds the lever on both domestic military force and global diplomacy, the system better have strong counterweights. Because if you think this is just about DC and Moscow, you've missed the real move. It's about power consolidation, plain and simple.
That's the hard truth. We're playing a high-stakes game, at home and abroad, and most people don't even realize the rules have changed. Today's Patriot Minute goes to someone who doesn't wear a suit or speak at press conferences, but still leads by example. Mayor Tyrone Hawkins of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, just signed a city ordinance that blocks the use of municipal funds for ESG compliance mandates pushed by outside corporations and NGOs. While the media ignores flyover towns, this man drew a line in the sand and said, "Our values aren't for sale. No fancy consultants, no federal grants, just a mayor who understands that freedom doesn't need a focus group, it needs a backbone." So to Mayor Hawkins, we salute you. Because sometimes, the loudest act of patriotism is simply saying no. What we saw today wasn't just policy, it was power in motion. Tariffs that draw a line between profit and principle. National Guard deployments that test the limits of federal force. A proposed summit with a global adversary that dares to disrupt the tired, old script of foreign policy. These aren't isolated events. They're threads in a larger tapestry of shifting power, rising resolve, and a country trying to figure out what it wants to be next. Are we going to keep outsourcing our strength and selling out our sovereignty for the illusion of convenience and safety? Or are we ready to claw back what we lost, one tough choice at a time? Because if you think this is just about Trump, you're missing it. It's about what comes after. Brian, bring it home.
The only thing radical about this week is that someone actually did something. Trump's tariffs protect our future. His DC stance protects our streets. His summit idea, it protects the possibility of peace without the price of weakness. If that makes the media panic, good. That means we're finally doing it right.
We can't afford to look away right now. Every one of these moves, economic, domestic, diplomatic, they all shape the trajectory of our republic. It's not about liking the man making them. It's about holding every move accountable while recognizing when courage shows up. And this week, it showed up loud.
The blueprint's evolving fast. Power is consolidating, narratives are shifting, and the old rules are being rewritten in real time. Whether we thrive or collapse will depend entirely on how many of us stay awake while they redraw the map.
You can feel the tremor in the ground right now, not from fear, but from friction. from decisions that mean something again. We're watching a man make moves the ruling class hates because they weren't consulted first. Whether it's tariffs or summits, National Guard or national pride, the people in power want to remind you that resistance is dangerous. But they only say that when it works. So here's my advice. Double down. Think deeper. Speak louder. And never forget, this country belongs to us, not the global think tanks or keyboard cowards. Until next time, remember to speak truth, stir thought,